Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline, in arts gymnastic, and in fraud divine.
Dire weapon of the tongue which men revere, be present, Hermes, and thyself plant here.
Welcome to Third Eye Bind, Episode 9, Tarot.
Thank you for supporting the show by subscribing, rating, and sharing. Please join us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind.
Hi, I'm Laura,
And I'm Caitlin.
and welcome to Third Eye Bind, Episode 9.
Tarot and other forms of divination.
Okay. This is the most meta shit ever because you're about to pull a tarot card regarding tarot.
I know.
What
could they
card-
possibly offer to us? I'm
what
excited.
card are you going to pick?
Let's see.
That's very exciting for me.
That's it? Yes, that was fast.
Okay.
It is. Okay. I pulled the Knight of Wands. And I actually
Oh.
fucking love this because the wands are our connection to our psychic gifts. There's some crossover with the cups as well, right? But wands certainly are our clairsentient abilities, our ability to channel spirit, channel energy, and the knight is in pursuit of the creative passions that come through the channel. And the knight is on a journey. It's a process. They are learning as they go. And the tarot is one of those beautiful tools that you never ever stop learning about, that you never ever stop learning from. Every time I turn a tarot card, I learn something new about it. And I have facilitated thousands of tarot readings at this point for hundreds of different people, and I've seen each of these 78 cards in so many different ways, and every time it's new. Every time it's new, and every time it is inspired. And the wands really are connected to that energy of inspiration. And the tarot is a really gorgeous tool for helping us discover the ways that we can channel that inspiration into creation. So I like, what's the
And
song
in turn,
for this?
I created a deck from that creative energy
Literally.
into this tarot.
And I'm holding it in my hand right now.
And what is the song? I think I know what it is, but
He's fighting and biting and riding on his horse. He's going the distance.
Yes, Cake.
I love a little cake.
The Distance by Cake.
And
And that's
that's interesting
a good
too,
song
because
for that.
the tarot's been around since the 1400s and
Okay.
continues.
I tried to find out
Mhm.
the origin of the tarot. Like I was like, let's do a little research because I am not an expert.
It's mysterious.
It is mysterious. I could not pinpoint one concrete starting point of the tarot. Like it's like, oh, it was in the 1400s in Italy. Oh, it was in the 1700s for this king dude. Like I was just like, what the fuck? And then I know that it goes further back than that.
I've also read that it's connected to Chinese history as well,
Right, yeah.
cartomancy there.
Mhm.
And that might even probably does predate any of the European cartomancy that we know of.
Mhm.
But what I was able to gather is, one, it's fucking cool that it's mysterious.
Yeah.
And two, the tarot as we currently know it, as we currently see it, seems to have come into existence in the 13 or 1400s in Italy.
Mhm.
Maybe?
Allegedly.
Allegedly? And there was a game called Tarocchi. And when that game migrated to France, that's when it became tarot.
France.
French.
We. We fancy. So this game, have you ever played it?
I've never played it as a game, but I descend from a family of light crime, and gambling and card
As
playing.
one does.
It was a big part of like our family story. So I've always been very closely connected to
The cards.
cards.
Hmm.
But I never played tarot as a game.
I haven't either.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
What would you do with the
I
major
flipped
arcana?
over a reverse card a few times.
Yeah.
But
do you read
Oops.
reversals?
I do. Yeah. But sometimes it doesn't feel like it needed to be reversed.
Mhm.
And that might be, honestly, sometimes I'm like, I don't think it's meant to be reversed. And then sometimes it feels like it's meant to be reversed. And I don't know
agree.
if that's right or not. But
I agree.
okay.
Sometimes I flip them over and the spirits are like, no reversals.
Right. Yeah. Like, this isn't the rules this time.
Yeah. The rules always change, don't they?
Yeah. Where do you know where reading reversals even comes from? Or is it just kind of a common sense thing?
I don't know. Because when you're reading with playing cards, there are no reversals.
There are no reversals.
So,
Whoa.
like, who invented that?
And
Reading
also, whose
reversals.
perspective are you looking at the card from? Because if you pulled for me right
Mhm.
now and it was upright my direction, it would be reversed to you.
Right.
So what does that mean?
I personally
Placement wise, like logistically.
I consider it like the reader's viewpoint.
Right. So it's not necessarily the meaning of the card is reversed. It's
Mm.
that it could be from my perspective.
Mhm. I think that like tarot cards have so much of like I think they all have a very broad spectrum of energy.
Yeah.
And you almost don't I personally haven't been reading reversals as much lately because like if they wanted to give me a certain type of message, they would just show me a different card. I think.
Right. Yeah.
But every once in a while I
don't
pull it
fucking
and I'm
know.
like, yeah, it's reversed.
Yeah, like when yeah, like I'm notorious for my shitty card pulls sometimes on my Instagram live. It's fun. And I definitely give a heavy disclaimer before I start pulling people cards. And it's shitty because like I don't know all the meanings to all the cards all the time, but I can facilitate the divination part.
Mhm.
It's going to be accurate, but it's like I don't know what here you go. Here's the information. I'm not going to be able to decipher it, which I think is what makes a tarot card reader a talent. It's the talent of it. That's the magic of someone that knows what they're doing. So the other day, but I'll pull some janky shit. Like I was shuffling for somebody and the fucking tower flipped over and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to put that back. And I was like, that was the tower. We're going to pick another one. And then I like picked a fucking another one.
Not today, not on
Like,
this show.
I'll do shit like that, but it's amusing to me. Tarot is so fun.
One of my favorite things about the tarot is that you don't necessarily need to be versed in the meanings of the cards in order to utilize them as a tool of divination. Because when you like boil
True.
them down, the tarot is a library of archetypes and human experiences. And if you are a human having an experience, you can flip over the card and feel something from the image that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. The artwork or whatever the artist has imbued upon the card.
Mhm.
And that's what not to be like shameless plug, but when I was designing my deck, which is called the Sirens of Song Tarot deck, okay, shameless plug, this is happening. Lady Moon Co., thank you for sponsoring this podcast. It's me. It's
Look
our
how
only
cute
sponsor
the
other than
backs
you.
are.
Yeah, but on it when I was designing it, I was like, I want to do a musical deck because I'm very wordy.
Mhm.
I love music. I'm a musician at heart. And I wanted the lyrics around the border of the card so that it helps those of us who aren't as well versed in the meanings to feel confident in our pull and to connect with it. If they know the song, you know the vibe of the song. Like I picked a song for every card for a reason, my interpretation of the card that I did research on while I was, and I think I even asked you a few times, does this work for this card? Because some of the cards are tricky.
Mhm.
Are there any cards that you're just like, I get weirded out by this card for some reason, or the meaning is so like like I forgot. For me, it was like I think it was the difference of the queens and the king. It was the kings. For me, I think it was like, okay, you're strong and empowered, and you're also strong and empowered. Like what are your leader? Like what are the like the nuanced differences
Yes.
between the suits of the kings and
Most
stuff
people
like that? The court
struggle with the
cards.
court cards.
Right.
Most people struggle with the court cards because, like, are they people? Are they energies? And they're also super binary. They're incredibly
Yeah.
gendered if you're using a traditional tarot deck. And so I think we can get kind of turned off and caught up in the imagery and the language that's associated with it. And I think that's what's cool about so many indie creators making new decks like the Sirens of Song and so many others is that we're able to break past these binaries and create new language or new imagery, or in your case, song lyrics, so that things that might have held us up before open us up to the tarot more.
Yeah.
The court cards always confuse people.
Okay, it's not just me.
It's not just you. I did a class last year called Courting. And if you become a Moonshadows member, you can visit spiritgardentarot.com.
Our other sponsor.
You'll have access to Courting, which is a 3-part workshop that digs into gender constructs and the court cards and the difference between the page, the knight, the queen, the king. And when people are trying to sort through the court, I usually recommend like start with the element. So cups is water. So if it's a page, it's a message about emotions. If it's the king, it's outward expression of emotions. If it's the queen, it's inward reflection of emotions. If it's the knight, it's pursuit of connection.
Like
through
we had
emotions.
earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
I think a card that used to always hold me up was the Emperor, because I have a complicated relationship with authority. And like dad shit, let's be honest. I love him, bless him. But like I had some dad shit. And every time I saw the Emperor, I was like, literally, yuck. Get that the fuck away from me. The Empire, like I am an anti-imperialist, radical witch bitch. I don't want anything to do with this card. Get it away from me.
Right.
And reframing the Emperor as the grounding foundations from which we are able to build our dreams upon.
Preparation,
discipline was really helpful for me. Tilling the soil so that you can grow something sustainable. Like that's the Emperor energy. Divine order. The rings of our solar system is Emperor energy. The rings inside of a tree is Emperor energy. The way we take up space in the world is Emperor energy. So that kind of helped me connect a little bit deeper with the Emperor. What about you?
I just like the court cards, and then temperance and justice.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I fucking love temperance because temperance is the alchemist. Temperance has one foot in the water and one foot on the land, and they are pausing so that they may spend some time adjusting the balance of their concoction, of their recipe, adding a little bit more, taking a little bit away until they're able to come to whatever it is they need in the moment. I love temperance. And justice, I agree, is a toughie because justice can be so many different things. It could be the pursuit of justice. I find that like justice often speaks to karmic rebalancing, kind of like, okay, I'm going to get nerdy.
Get
Force.
nerdy.
The Force, right?
Oh, I was just gonna reference when you said the Emperor, I was about to be like Emperor Palpatine, but then I said it inside my head and I didn't say it because I was like, I don't want to be a Star Wars nerd, but I love Star Wars.
We're going to Star Wars, and like how the Force exists not to bring good or to destroy evil, but to create divine balance. Right? To create divine balance. And there's a really fucking fabulous TikTok of Freddie Prinze Jr. talking about the force bringing balance, and I highly
Oh,
recommend that you
yeah.
search for it. Maybe we can put it in the show notes.
He's a nerd.
But
In
he
the
sums it
best
up
way.
perfectly, and I really think that that is usually what justice has to do with, is where is balance being brought to this situation, to this relationship, to whatever it is that you're reading about, and the understanding that, again, it's not necessarily about good or evil, because that is binary. It's about restoring the balance of the universe, of the cosmos, of equaling things out on the karmic scales, however that needs to happen.
In constant flux.
In constant flux.
That's very mercurial. That's very
Mhm.
blessed Hermes.
And even
That is so trickster.
temperance is very much like that. It's the
Yeah.
balancing of
Yeah.
things. Except temperance, I feel,
Well,
is more internal.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Mhm.
very interesting. It's my justice is Alanis Morissette.
I love that.
And then the temperance is Aaliyah. We need a resolution. Such a good song.
Yeah. I feel that.
I want to test your theory. I would like to pull a card and see if I can sort of use your method of leading with the element.
Mhm.
I just want to try it. Why not, right?
Let's do it.
I'm gonna shove general read. Let's see. Queen of Swords, and I got a court card. Okay.
Here we go.
Swords is fire, right?
Swords
No?
is air.
Oh, swords is air. I thought wands was air.
Okay, that's
Wait.
something that's also debated.
Oh, okay.
Some people switch them. I personally
okay.
read swords as air and communication. There's lots of butterflies, birds. It's your thoughts. It's your mind.
Okay.
And wands is like creation, like.
Okay. Fire and fire. Let's make. Okay. So when I think of wands, I think, oh, it's floating, it's airy, it's through the. And then a
you're
sword
thinking
is like
magic wand.
literally. I'm thinking like, ooh.
But you know
I also
what?
just like the imagery of wands.
You should trust what you feel when you're
Okay.
reading tarot.
All right.
You're like, no, I don't know what I feel.
Swords is fire to me right now. Okay, so the queen. So fire. There's a fire inside. It's the queen. So the queen is inward, like you said. So maybe. And the song is "I'm Every Woman." It's all in me. So maybe there's power inside that can be let out, and that is sort of needs to be turned outward, and it's inward. Maybe that's the question, or that's the conundrum. Look, I just read tarot.
I fully agree with that, because the Queen of Swords, if you like go back to old school tarot books, like everybody shits on the Queen of Swords. She's a
Really?
fucking bitch. Yes,
She's a bitch.
exactly. But really, is she a bitch?
Maybe Meredith Brooks' bitch should have
Or
been
is
that
she?
song.
I'm a bitch. One time, my little sister started belting that out during the quiet part of mass at church, and it was hilarious. They were like 5. My mom was like, "Oh my god."
That's great.
But you just got to do what you got to do.
Oh my god.
But the Queen of Swords is often attributed to somebody who's like harsh and hard.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
In my interpretation of the Queen of Swords, they are somebody who's not afraid to say what they mean.
That's weird.
They're someone who's not afraid to assert boundaries. When I think of the Queen of Swords, did anybody watch, like the audience is here.
I'll be the audience. Yeah.
The Beyonce documentary, and like her Virgo energy and the way that she is so diligent about directing every single person around her so that she can ultimately create the vision that she desires, which creation is fire. But that direction and the seriousness in her direction, like that is Queen of Swords to me. Like I am not afraid to tell you what's going on in here so that it may be realized around me. And I think that's historically misread as like, you're a fucking
That
bitch.
is so weird that I pulled that card, because I feel like I have a lot of that energy.
You do, in a good way.
Thank you, in a good way.
Yes.
I'm also struggling with some parts that are not so good sometimes.
Okay, that's the tarot.
It's the boundary thing
it's
is
the
a little
range.
harsh, but I think that's that's a nice reminder,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm hard on myself and have a lot of walls up.
And I also like the song that you picked for this card, I'm Every Woman, It's All
Yeah,
in
it's like
Me.
confident.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the Queen of Swords, again, gets teared down so much. And I love
didn't
that
know
this
that.
is like an expression of confidence. It is all in me, and I am not afraid to express it out loud, to literally sing
Yeah.
it out loud so that you hear me and hear what I have to say.
That is nice.
Mhm.
That's weird. Well, that was a nice little exercise in
Intuitive tarot
intuitive
reading.
tarot reading for a non-tarot professional,
Absolutely.
guided by a tarot professional. That's cool.
And I think what's cool about the tarot is like you don't have to have any sort of formal education in order for it to be of service to you. There's
No.
so many websites that offer like certification. And I mean, I'm a tarot teacher. I take money from people to teach them how to read. So I'm not shitting on like learning from a teacher, but you don't need to be certified
There's
to read tarot for yourself.
Yeah, there's no cosmic title that's gonna.
Doesn't make you more qualified.
No, and that's what I love about divination. It's for everyone. It is the most accessible shit ever. There's so many different ways to tap into that. It's you can get creative with it. Not just the tarot. There's traditionally like reading tea leaves, reading
coffee
poems,
grinds.
like
yes.
there's
Reading the flames.
Yes, reading fire,
Scrying.
reading water, scrying, smoke scrying is like my favorite thing to do. There's just so many different I could take that wrapper on that candy. I could take it off, scrunch it up, throw it on the fucking floor, and then find something in it.
Absolutely. A Baba once told me a good espiritista can read ice cubes melting in a glass.
Yeah.
It's true. You can divine from anything if you decide that you want to or you need to. One of my favorite tools personally is the pendulum. I'm obsessed with the pendulum and yes or no divination.
Right.
Because it seems really simple, but you can build your answers one on top of the other.
Ooh, like how? Tell.
Okay, so like I actually learned this when I was researching for a pendulum class that I taught, and I was inspired by this ancient Chinese divination modality which involved tortoise shells. But the way that they would document each question and create a new question based upon their previous answer was how I learned how to do this. And so say I'm trying to figure out if I should say yes to a new job. So I'll ask the pendulum, is this new job in alignment with my desires? Yes or no? Will this new job pay me what I deserve to be paid? Yes or no? Will this new job be an environment that I'm comfortable in? Yes or no? Will this new job afford me new opportunities? Yes or no? Will I stay there long? Yes or no? Like you can get so much juicy, good, hard, like factual information.
You mean like layering on the questions of the same.
Yes, all about the same subject. And you can get all of this info just through yes or no divination, which is awesome if you struggle with things like tarot. You can still get like detailed info.
That's flipping a coin. That's divination.
I use the magic 8 ball.
Magic 8 balls, yes. Like the little paper. I'm doing a thing that if you're listening you can't see, but
fortune tellers.
The fortune. Are they called fortune tellers? Those things?
We call them cootie catchers.
They're cootie catchers. Like those things that for those of you that are younger, you may not know. MASH was divination.
MASH was divination.
MASH was fucking witchcraft.
Schoolyard divination.
Holy shit. That was witchcraft. That was... Okay, for those of you who don't know what MASH is, it might be hard to explain, but I'm going to try. So you'd write MASH... And then you would write, let me see if I even remember. And then you'd write like who you're going to marry. Be like names, numbers of kids, where you're going to live. And you'd make a list of 4 or 5 of these things. And then you would start tallying scratch marks on a paper. And I'd be like, okay, I'm going to scratch. And you would say stop. And then I'd be like, okay. And there's 5. Okay, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then cross off a name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cross, and just go down the list and cross off until there's one left. And that's... It
was like mansion, apartment, shack, or house.
That's what MASH stands for. So you would find out that you'd marry Taylor and you'd live in a mansion with 16 kids.
Yes. And
a
what your job
Corvette,
was.
and you'd be a nurse.
Yes. I wonder what my most recent MASH, I wonder what the like last MASH I ever did was about.
We should do
And
MASH.
how accurate it was.
We should do MASH and then put it on the as a Patreon.
That would be really
That would
fun.
be
We
cool.
should offer that to the patrons, like a MASH
divination
yeah,
session.
like live.
We're gonna
MASH.
add that.
We're gonna
so
do that.
strap
Mike.
in. Mike,
Write it down.
do it.
I've been teaching my kids how to make the cootie catchers lately, and it's been really fun because of the things that they write inside. They're fucking hilarious.
Oh God. That's important. These are
You're gonna
things
make me
that-
some lunch.
Right. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed late today. Like this sounds stupid, but these are things that little witches like gravitated to because we didn't have anything else. Well, did you ever play with Ouija boards? Do you have comments on Ouija boards?
I have a lot of comments.
I
about
would
Ouija
like to know what
boards.
you think about them. I was gonna.
So I personally do not fuck with Ouija.
Sames. But why don't
And,
we?
Well, I find that for whatever reason, Ouija boards tend to be very heavily favored by earthbound, low vibrational, and trickster entities.
I have a reason for that. I think it's because they're popular.
Mm-hmm.
The stories surrounding them and the experience surrounding them probably attract low vibrational shit because they know it's worked in the past for the others.
And it's fucking kids that it's marketed to.
And it's a
kids with
kid's
no
game.
spiritual protection.
no
It's fucked up. What is it? Shooting ducks in a barrel.
ducks in a barrel.
That's what Ouija board is like. And then people put them up all over their fucking houses.
Okay,
Have mercy.
Okay.
I cannot.
I could not either. Okay. I love.
Do you have a story?
No, but I just see it so much. Like I don't want to shit on like the spooky community as a whole,
But why are you doing that?
why?
Why?
It's aesthetic. They're non-practicing, and it's just
I
they
guess-
like Ouija
right.
boards, and they're collector. You can collect things, and that's cool. I think that's why. It's just that's a lot
I was gifted a Ouija board once.
all over the
Um,
house.
All over your house, all over your walls.
I literally saw that last week. Somebody had, this like, look at my spooky
I
aesthetic
saw
house.
TikTok of that.
I think it's probably the same
I was like,
one.
"Ugh."
And I was like, oh,
Swipe.
fuck. That's not for me. Might be for some people. It's not.
I guess some people
Not
aren't as
something-
psychically sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. It's just,
It's a hard pass.
it's a hard
pass for me.
pass for us.
I find that spirit boards are just kind of dangerous. They're too open. I don't know. I don't know why. I just don't like it. And I've
Well,
never
yeah.
had a positive experience with them. I've touched
yeah.
so many other types of divination tools, and I do have a Ouija story.
Oh,
I
okay.
was gifted a Ouija board by a tattoo artist I had a crush on.
As one does.
And I brought
That's
it
my
home.
catchphrase now.
I brought it home and put it in my closet. I was living alone at the time in Koreatown. And when I would get home from work, it would be on my bed. And I never used it. I didn't open the box.
Oh.
It was a vintage one from the 70s in the old like
Mhm.
Mattel or Hasbro box, which like it's just so predatory. I hate that these are marketed to kids.
I want to know the history of like how that even came to
Me
be.
too. Me
we,
too.
We don't have that information for you, unfortunately, today, but maybe another
I
episode.
might have to,
we can-
yeah, do a blog post on Patreon
Yeah,
about it or
yeah.
something
a little
because
extra info.
it would be on my bed every time I came back. And I did research about it, and they're like, don't throw it away, don't throw it in the trash. So I ended up donating it to Goodwill because I didn't want to throw it away. I was
I mean,
afraid.
Yeah, I would be afraid to sort of like
Because what if it came
try
back?
because that's happened to people before where it's like I destroyed it and then it was there.
Mm-mm.
It's got some I think it's and I do think that the zeitgeist of a culture can impact spiritual practice in that
Mm.
we're powerful. And there's we talked about I didn't mention this in the last episode about ghosts, but I mean in the paranormal investigative culture there have been instances where and again, on that damn show Kindred Spirits, it's so good. They did this experiment where they made up a ghost, talked about it, gave it a backstory, and then basically hunted their own ghost and got evidence of the exact things that they made up. So it's like there was a haunting that was sort of being perpetuated by people talking about it all the time. And it's like, do we create these things? And there's a name for it, and I cannot remember that type of haunting, but I think that's sort of what's happening with Ouija boards. I think it's like, it's such a thing.
Yes.
Such an iconic means for like evil or whatever, you know, like bad things happening, that it's truly become that.
Part of me wonders if it's also because, like, you know, it's treated as a game, as like a party game, as like a trick. And so there isn't any foundational practice that goes into using Ouija boards most of the time.
Like, where the fuck did it even come from?
Like, who's touching the planchette? How many different people are touching it? What are they bringing with them to the table?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The mix of just non-informed energy. Because
Yeah.
normally it's just normal people that aren't witches or
Right.
occultists, you know, like it's just like whatever. And that, I mean, if you don't know, what you don't know can hurt you.
Yes.
If you're messing with spirits, and that's why people are afraid of them. And I've heard a lot of ghost stories about that in the podcast I listen to, a lot of just like the Ouija board thing, and like we forgot to say goodbye at the end, because people, like, you're supposed to say goodbye,
Close your circle,
and it can be a simple goodbye with intent, but people don't remember to do that shit if they're not mindful and they're playing a game and they're drunk or whatever, you know. Or also inebriation, like it's a party. What's at parties? Spirits. What are with spirits? So that's another episode we should do too.
I know. The spirits of spirits.
The spirits of spirits. Write that down, babe. Thank you.
He's not writing.
I know he's not. He's like, fucking hate you. Fine. But truly, I think that's why. Because we're not just little balls of light here. We're fucking powerful, and
we are. We're complex. We carry lots of things, and I think you like really hit something about like alcohol and Ouija, and the party element is what kind of makes it a little bit murky.
It's a little murky, and
murky.
You know, I just don't want to fuck with it.
I can't do it. It's not for me. I'm even personally like, I won't touch a pendulum board because it looks too much like a Ouija board. I'm not saying...
I've never seen a pendulum board.
There's some really cool ones on Etsy. I'm not going to lie. With like cool shit, like burned wood, like really fucking cool shit.
But it's a similar situation.
It's a similar situation. The ones that say yes, no, maybe don't make me as uncomfortable. But they make pendulum boards with like the full alphabet. And
I
don't know what it is about the alphabet that just... things get weird.
Yeah, they do. I don't have any urge to mess with them. I'm debating. I'm going to Salem in October, and there is a spirit board museum. Yeah, I'm like very tempted to go and see that, but I'm a little weary, honestly. But I'm a little like, yeah, hell yeah, let's go to the Satanic Temple. I am down.
That I can handle.
I'm gonna sit on Baphomet's lap.
Not afraid.
Fuck yeah, with my mom. That'd be an epic photo for my wall. But I don't know if I want to go to the Spirit Board Museum. There's also something very alluring about them that kind of creeps me out, where I'm like, ooh.
Why are you trying to suck me in?
And it's funny because I have a little magnet that I designed that's like a jokey version of the
planchette.
It's a planchette. Yeah. It says, do the dishes. Yes, no. And then it's like this cute little like, so I mean, it's cute. It's cute. Fun, but it's like, I have a planchette croc charm that I made, you know, and it's fun, but a real one,
I don't know. I was invited to do readings at a museum that's local, and when I did a Google and saw the photos of like the Ouija boards all over the wall, I was like, I literally can't walk in there. And I mean, maybe it's just because, I don't know, maybe our ancestral origins just don't jive with whatever is happening there. But to me, I think you're right about the cultural zeitgeist too. Like the way we can create energy around, but like that exists for a reason. Like the cultural zeitgeist around it exists for a reason. I don't know.
It does. And I don't
Freaks
know
me out.
I don't have the answers to that, but it does. And also I think you just, you know, you jive with some things, you don't with others, and that's okay. But as an actual practicing witch, this is my spirituality, this is my life. I'm more aware of things like that. And it's not just, I really like Halloween, I'm going to put Ouija boards on my wall. Like, that's not my story and my experience. So we have to be, we're just naturally more mindful of that shit, because for us, that needs to come into account. That's how we live our lives. So
exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. But divination as a whole is very accessible and open for so many interpretations that I think are more valuable than, like, say, a Ouija board, because you're putting your own creative into it. So there's nothing to really, you can protect yourself more when you create something yourself. Whoa. And that's a lot of the way that I do magic and use my discernment. We haven't said that in a while.
I was thinking about it.
I was too. I was like, I want to say discernment, but I'm not gonna. But then I did. My thoughts always have a way of coming out of my mouth.
Queen of Swords.
Really, that's so weird. Let me think of more tarot things to ask you, because you're an expert.
I will say that, like, on the note of discernment, like, divination is an excellent way to develop your discernment.
Not just with, like, protection, but
like, yes or no divination. Should I use my crock pot or my instant pot to make dinner tonight? Yes or no? Little questions like that can help you develop an understanding of the feeling you get when something's a yes and when something's a no. And then you start to recognize that in yourself when you're away from your tools as well.
And I feel like that strengthens your intuition, because I feel like intuition and discernment aren't the exact same thing, but they're like,
they live in the same neighborhood.
They live next door to each other. And I think there are instances where your intuition might be telling you something, but then, like, discernment is saying something else, or that there's something that stops you, because discernment can protect other people too, and
discernment
it can
can
be
help
a
you figure out how to
socio
act.
thing. Yeah, like it could be like, I don't know, just, you know.
Yeah, like intuition tells you there's something up, and discernment helps you understand what that means,
and what that means, and how you can deal with
and what
it
to
in
do
a
next.
practical way.
Yes,
because we can't just be like doing whatever the fuck we want all the time. That's chaos. How fun.
There has to be some sort of divine emperor order to things.
Right.
Well, and that's like when the Hierophant comes into play, because the Hierophant is the one who teaches us how to have discipline in our spiritual practices, how to have discipline when engaging with spiritual tools, spiritual modalities. I think that that's something that's really lost when we think of Ouija as well, because you just open the box and you start doing the thing. And something that I've learned about being a diviner is that I need to psychically prepare myself to cleanse, to ground, to protect myself before I open this gate, because divination really is a gate that you're opening to the entire realm of spirits. And working with the Hierophant helps you to understand how to have some sort of structure in your divination practice, so that you're not just channeling anyone and anything. Because as a tarot teacher and as a mentor, I've had many clients who have jumped headfirst into divination, which is not unusual. Like, we all have to start somewhere.
Yeah, you gotta figure it out somehow.
Without any understanding of psychic and spiritual boundaries, spiritual protection, and they get themselves into a mess. They end up having earthbound or low vibrational entities attached to them, telling them things that started out pretty normal and turn scary quickly. I've had multiple clients have this happen through spirit boards and even the pendulum on occasion. But usually it happens with the spirit board more than anything else. Recently, I had a client who made one on a piece of like lined paper and was using their pendulum over the lined paper, thinking they were talking to an ancestor. And then some like fucked up shit started coming out. And I was like, my dear, burn that piece of paper immediately.
Yeah. Wow. That, and you know, when you're talking about that, what's not having a foundation and not having something to draw from, like we talked about this before, but something that helps with that is connecting with your ancestral roots and backing that up. And it's such a solid way to do that, especially if you have that information, like start there. You know, like what you want to do. You want to be a, like we get asked all the time, how do you start being a witch? Like I always would say, go outside and, you know, listen and like be with yourself and listen to nature and what nature has to offer you or whatever. But I'd also add to that, search your ancestry.
Who do you come from?
Who do you come
from?
from?
How did they divine?
That is such an important thing. And we've talked about this whole season, and it's just like a huge deal. And that's something that everyone has, no matter what. If you're alive on this earth, like you said before, we have a lineage. Some of it is harder to find than others, but get creative and like really dig into that and get that protection so you can do the divination and do the things with more confidence.
So you feel like you know who you're dialing on the spirit phone before you start engaging with these tools, because I think that sometimes folks see things like pendulums and spirit boards and tarot cards and see it just as like, I don't know, stuff, and they don't realize that they're portals.
Right.
There are 78 portals in my hand that connect me to the realm of spirit, which is vast and eternal. And if you don't have any sort of grounding, whether it's in land or ancestry, in discipline, then you are opening up the door to communicate with anything and anyone. And it certainly happens more frequently with tools like Ouija, but it can happen with your tarot cards too. It can happen with automatic writing. Like it can happen in any way. And that's why when folks ask me, like, how do I start practicing divination? How do I start being a psychic and medium? I always say, like, learn how to ground, cleanse, and protect. And they're always like, that's not the fun stuff. Well, but it'll save your life.
It makes you, that's one of the first things I ever learned.
I love
from
cleansing.
My fucking old witchcraft books from the 90s. And they have their flaws, but God bless them for having that,
for
you know?
Seriously.
God bless them for existing and for saying to protect yourself.
Yes.
My God. I mean, it's so important. And it's actually very fun. The way that I've always done it since I was a kid was I do a visual circle around myself. And in this, I don't remember what book it was. It was some whack ass book, but it had a really good exercise for conjuring a protective circle. It was to visualize something like in your mind's eye surrounding you. And for me, it was a fairy that would fly up and then like open her chest and her wings would expand around me in like this sparkly 10-year-old goodness. And that's what I picture to this day. Isn't that so cool?
I'm obsessed.
Isn't that so neat? Like, that's just so like
pretty.
Isn't that so pretty and cute? And baby Laura, I know, right? So yeah, and we can do a whole fucking episode on how to protect yourself. We probably should, and we will. But point being, there's a lot of creative things to do with that too that are fun.
I think, yes, psychic and spiritual protection is really fun.
And it feels nice.
And it feels amazing.
Yeah.
And it also ensures that the channel that you have is clear so that you are interpreting the messages that are really meant for you so that you have the best chance of understanding the information that comes through.
Right.
Something I think that's important to remember is that when we're divining, we are interpreting that information through the lens of our personal experience, through our understandings. And cleansing can help release biases, misunderstandings, misaligned beliefs, so that when the information is coming through, it's what we actually need and not ways that we've twisted it into something else.
Yeah, like predisposed thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
If you go it's a way to prepare you for what you're about to do, because a lot of the time I'll have stuff on my mind and then I'll like do my movement practice or whatever and I'm like, oh yes, like I'm ready. I did one this morning and I feel like really good right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And I was able to come into these like episodes with a clearer so what we're doing currently, I feel is like divinative and witchy as fuck. Like in the moment of recording, like we have an incantation, we've prepared ourselves, we've lit our little power sources, our focus, and like that's magic.
There's ceremony and
This
ritual.
is ceremony. This is ritual.
This is our discipline.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all tingly. Like it's such a so even things like this that you'd maybe like, oh, they don't do that. Like they just go on and record. Like
nope.
It can just be for the littlest shit, like a job interview or like you're just going to Target, you know? Like I don't know. It's just important.
It's helpful in your everyday life.
In your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you. Do you have a favorite tarot card?
Oh, all of them. I love the Lover's card.
Okay.
It's tattooed on my arm.
Oh, let me see. Oh, cute.
Mm-hmm. Their faces are
It's
all
reversed to me.
For you, it's reversed. I know.
I love that it's facing you.
The artist was like, well, which way does it go? And I was like, it's facing me.
It's from your perspective.
It's from my perspective. I'm the reader. It's for me.
It's the tattoo conundrum. Which way does this thing face?
Always. I love the Lovers for a few different reasons. One, I'm a Gemini. I don't know if you know.
Oh, I'm also a Gemini. I don't know if you knew that.
But we love to talk about it. And
I haven't mentioned it in a minute.
The Lovers card is the card associated with Gemini. The angel in the card is considered to be possibly Mercury. It could also be Raphael or Gabriel, depending on the text that you're reading from.
All of the Ninja Turtles.
All of the Ninja Turtles are present.
All of Donatello. It's Michelangelo.
And the scene is like Eden. It's like the Garden of Eden. You have a femme, you have a masculine figure with this angel above them. They're in a garden, they're naked. And there are so many different ways to interpret this card. One, it could be a sign, yes, of like love, romantic connection, sex, sensuality, for sure. But
for sure,
it's also a card. It's the card that introduces healing in the tarot. And the message of healing is that we can't always do it alone. We need to be in the presence of another, either to witness us or to facilitate the healing practice. And we also need to be in the presence of spirit, of the divine. And if you're into the Watchers, which are like the fallen angels, you learn that the angels are the ones who taught the daughters of man how to heal with the herbs, how to
really
practice divination, how to read the stars. And Raphael is an angel that's associated with healing, physical healing, mental healing, spiritual healing. So this card is really beautiful to me because it reminds me that like we're not meant to do all of this on our own. And to hold yourself to the standard of thinking that you can accomplish everything, that you can heal everything by yourself, like you're not giving yourself a fair chance. It's okay to need someone. It's okay to need help. And it's literally part of the human experience to need help when it comes to healing.
Wow.
I know.
So were the Watchers like, because I don't know anything about the Bible. I was raised agnostic. I'm a blank slate, baby. So I just literally fucking don't know very much about the Bible. Were the Watchers like bad?
So
In the eyes of like the Bible, are they bad or
the
good?
Watchers are the ones who rebelled against God.
So they're bad.
Mm,
Bad
I
in
guess,
the context of Christianity.
I think like in the context of Catholicism, they're
Or
like, that's
Catholicism.
not real. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
That's a fairy tale.
Okay. But they sound really cool.
But they're really fucking cool. They're the fallen angels. They're the ones who chose to live amongst humanity, to take wives, to have daughters. And
Okay.
it is my personal belief that the descendants of these angels walk the earth right now.
Tight.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That
And,
was
like,
very interesting.
Who wouldn't want to hang out with humans? Humans are beautiful. Humans were created in the image of divine. Humans get to experience pleasure. That is the blessing of the flesh. We were born to experience pleasure. This earth was made for love and for pleasure.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
It's true.
A card that comes up for me I've only had my tarot read a handful of times, maybe 4 out of 5 times, and you've been one of them. The High Priestess has come up.
Yeah.
So I really like the High Priestess card.
I love the High Priestess.
Just really drawn to it.
The High Priestess has so much delicious symbolism. Like the moon.
Oh, yeah.
The crown of the moon above her, and the veil that she wears, the veil that is draped behind her because she is the guardian of the veil, the way she also has one foot in the water, so she's connected to the collective unconscious, to all that is, all that ever was. She's deeply psychic, she's mystical, and she's like this mother to all. And also like that horned moon, you see that imagery in lots of goddesses. Artemis.
Hecate, right?
The Blessed Mother, Mary, stands on top of the moon, or it's behind her always.
There's a lot of moon
Isis
imagery.
as well, I believe, has the horns. You see that imagery repeated. So like the High Priestess is so delicious. I find that when she shows up in readings, it's often like an invitation to connect with whichever dark mother follows you.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels very cool.
Yes.
So that's kind of my card, I guess.
Yeah.
That's sort of my favorite card.
Your like archetype card. I'm into that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I'm always like, I want a major card. I like when I pull major. You do that too? Probably not, because you have like understanding of the whole. But if I get like a suit card, I'm like, oh,
I don't want to deal with this shit.
boring. But if I get a major card, I'm like, yes. Yahtzee, bitch.
Well, the minors are like
minor, yeah. That's what I was looking for.
The minors are like the day-to-day ins and outs of being a human on Earth, you know? That's not always fun.
The major cards are fun.
They're
beautiful. Just obvious and beautiful, and the imagery is more interesting to me. Although the guy with the Baja Blast, that was the Five of Cups.
So funny. The Five of Cups, the Baja Blast.
He dropped his Baja Blast on the floor. He's sad now. That's pretty funny too.
I've always connected to the Empress.
Oh yeah, I like the Empress too. All the female like power cards.
Yeah, absolutely. The
are my
Star.
jam. Queen of Swords, apparently.
Queen of Swords. I love the Queen of Swords. I love the Queen of Wands. I'm very into the Queen of Wands.
Fire.
She's very warm. She's very sensual. She's magnetic.
Right.
People are drawn to her.
That's cool.
The way they might fear the Queen of Swords, they're like enchanted by the Queen of Wands. Just because she's being herself. Delicious.
How great for her.
Right?
Speaking of delicious, do we have any spirit candy?
Spirit candy.
Channeled messages from our spirit guides. Okay, so this came from my guide Lily, who she loves to talk.
Fluffy
And
talk.
she called this is coffee talk. Trust the light. Trust the light within you, the lights of the sky above you, before you trust the dazzling lights of the world around you. This place is full of false idols, but it was built, created, and is still full of so much peace, magic, and love. We need not look to neon signs to discover our destiny. We do encourage you to look to the stars, to the sun, to the spirit, to the tongue of fire within each of us that leads us to our truths. When we find ourselves overwhelmed by the sights and sounds of the simulation, go within. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow us to guide you to the compass inside of you. For though you may lose your way, the compass within does not falter. The choice is ours to look and to follow, and to find ourselves back on the path to our truth. Remember that you are never too lost for the divine to bring you back to what is yours. But you must be willing. You must consent to receive. Blessings cannot be forced upon you. The heart and the head must be open. Take some time today to clear away the cobwebs that may cast shadows over your light. Trust that the memories you carry of who you are, who you've always been, are true. That you are more than just this one incarnation. You are every incarnation that has ever enveloped your soul. It is possible that there's a shift now in the way that you communicate with spirit. Do not take this as a sign that they've left you. Just as the seasons change, the spirits change. Just as the seasons change, your ability to receive the messages change. Do you remember those old TVs with the antenna? How you could watch a channel with ease for days, then all of a sudden, white noise and broken picture. Then you stand adjusting the antenna while your parent watches the screen saying, a little to the left. No, not there. Okay, maybe more right. The change in your reception is not a poor reflection of you. You haven't done anything wrong. It's natural. It's a cycle. The more open you are to the fluidity in our communication, in your divination, the less frustrated you will be. Please continue to cultivate your trust in yourself and your spirits. Look to the lights in the sky above you when it feels difficult reaching the light within. We love you, we hold you, we show you the way.
Wow.
I kept seeing tarot cards with each line. I was
Really?
like, oh, this is a temperance moment. This is
Yeah.
like a
That
high
really
priestess
hit
moment.
me. I feel like that was for me almost, or for me to hear.
Yeah.
Wow. That was really, comforting.
I think that's important to know about our divination tools is that sometimes they'll work for you for a long time and one day they don't. And it's not that you're broken, it's that you're changing, you're growing, your gifts are shifting, and you just have to catch up.
Yeah, that it's like that, and don't the what did you say about? Yeah, you're never too lost for the spirits to help you.
You're never too lost.
That
You're
was
never
like,
too
okay.
lost.
Yeah, there, because sometimes I think as witches, we hold a lot of responsibility for ourselves, more than other religions, quite frankly, because we are a power source. We are not giving up our power or dependent on a nameless ball of light in the sky. We are a ball of light. And I think that weight, I know it weighs me down sometimes. And I think it's okay and necessary to work with spirit and rely on spirit, but also give back in a selfless way, work with them they're there to aid you, they're there to guide you. And it's wow. there's a lot of trust that goes into that. And if you're someone who has trust issues, such as myself, that's okay for earthly things, but letting that bleed into your spiritual practice, it can bleed in and it can cloud your judgment and your discernment. And that's what I got from that. And don't let it do that. Like the divine and spirits are there for you. They understand even when you're feeling like shit. They understand. They're there to lift you up.
And they also understand like your trust issues.
Yes.
A lot of people struggle when they first start connecting with their guides to be comfortable with somebody actually sincerely wanting to help them.
Right. Yeah.
It feels fucking suspicious. But the thing about your benevolent guides is that they're just going to keep proving themselves to you. And they don't mind doing it over and over again. It's kind of like how little kids need to read the same book over and over and over again in order to really get it. Like we are the little kids, and they don't mind taking the time to assure us as many times as they need to.
Yeah. And that's why practices like divination are important. It just strengthens you as a witch. It strengthens you, the connection with your guides and your discernment. It's like all the things, all your creativity.
It helps you be a better human.
It helps you be a better human. And yeah, and even like I say this a lot, like even as long as I've been practicing, it's still hard. It's hard right now. But that's a very nice reminder. But that's the thing that witchcraft always gave to me, was that comfort and that support. And I've always felt that no matter fucking what. Yeah, it gets a little wonky when I'm at my lowest. And I'm like, do my spirits even like me? You know? But
and they're like, we're still here.
Yeah, it's like, no, we're just chilling, letting you have a minute.
Exactly.
You know?
Like,
Truly. So if you're struggling, of course, seek help. If you need medical help, seek medical help. If you need therapy, seek therapy. But also connect with your spirits.
Because they can also connect you with the other types of help that you need.
Yeah.
It's
sometimes that might be the solution you need. And what you just read was such a good piece of advice. So thank you, Lily.
Thank you, Lily.
That was fucking rad.
We love Lily.
That blew my fucking mind right now, Lily.
Lily's
right.
in the business of blowing minds.
Dude. No, for real. That was beautiful. So thank you.
Lily's really cool. She's a revolutionary.
Fuck yeah.
Do you have some questions from the third eye line?
I have a really good question. I'm going to read it. Let's see. What do I do after food offerings are done? That's a great question. What do you do with food offerings after they're done being used or utilized? Do you let them sit there? Do you eat them?
What do you do?
Well, okay. I've had it. I've sort of been unsure, and I've just used my discernment in the past. I would discard them.
Yeah.
After, there's been a few times I've been like, "This is still good."
It's for me.
It doesn't feel right to eat it for me. It's sort of never been a concrete thing I've figured out. It's just sort of like, I think I'm just gonna throw this away and be like, thank you, boop,
yeah,
thank you, and then just kind of, you know. But there are logistical things like ants and gnats and
absolutely.
So what do you do?
It depends on the season. For me, like you mentioned, ants. Right now it's summertime, so it is high ant season, which means I'm not leaving a ton of food offerings on the altar. If I do, it's usually like packaged goods or whole pieces of fruit. If it is anything that is open, like a meal, I usually only leave that for meal time, and then I'll dump it out. For fruit, whole fruit, I'll leave it for a couple of days. When I start to see that it's like withering up, then I'll toss it. I personally don't eat any of the food that I leave for my spirits because that's just not what I was taught in the tradition I grew up in. It's like eating food somebody's already chewed, which is fine if you're a baby bird, but I am not.
I am not a baby bird.
I am not a baby bird. I'm a big bird.
I'm a big bird.
And
I'm a mama bird.
I'm a mommy bird. I chew the food
I chew
first.
the fucking food. Oh, God.
So it really just, it depends. During the winter when it's cold and I don't have to worry about ants, like that's when I leave the spread out. And that's also the season of the ancestors, winter, fall, when it starts to cool off.
Coincidence?
Coincidence?
They want all the nom-noms.
I don't think it's a coincidence because nothing is. It's
When
all
do
magic.
humans have less bugs? Winter and fall.
Exactly. So they're like, that's when we'll roll in.
Bake.
And that's when I'm leaving. That's when I want to bake. And I'm
Bake
leaving out cookies and sweets and cakes and lots of stuff. I highly recommend, like during the hot months, try leaving out dry grains, like dry beans, dry nuts,
An
things like
uncooked
that.
cup of quinoa.
Exactly. Yes.
It's all like
Your
nasty.
Mexica ancestors will appreciate an uncooked cup of quinoa. They loved quinoa.
Yeah.
So like I toss it personally. I do know that some people eat the food. It's not in my tradition. Again, look to your ancestry.
I almost did.
I've been tempted. There was some Godiva chocolate that I left for one of my spirits and I was like,
Oh.
"Can I just have one?" And they were like,
No,
"Don't ask me that.
truly.
Do not ask me that ever
Ye-
again."
Yeah. Yeah.
I toss the food offerings. It's just, you don't want bugs in your house. Toss them outside if you need to.
Here's a good question. How much food do you offer? Like a human-sized
Ah.
plate of food? Because we don't want to be wasteful. I like hate throwing food away.
Mhm.
But I also am going to give them some food. But
So when I'm sharing meals,
so
I typically use a tea saucer.
yeah,
And I'll
me too.
still like serve it. I plate it beautifully.
It's like a
okay,
doll
sexy
portion.
food only.
An American Girl doll portion.
It's exactly like that American Girl doll portion.
That's what we're doing.
Yes, I put it on a little tiny plate, and that's what I serve to the
Mhm.
spirits. Sometimes I'll do it in like a teacup, even.
Yeah. Tiny bowl.
Mhm.
That's what offering bowls are for.
I keep it small, but also like, how much space do you have on your altar? And also like, if you get in the habit of giving them too much too often, you
Yeah.
are now committed to that forever.
Yeah, you can't skimp on it.
Mm-mm.
You can't skimp on
Your
it.
spirits don't want you to go hungry. So if you're sharing your food and all you can share is a spoonful, they're like, fuck
Right.
yeah, thank you for thinking of us.
It doesn't have
Thank
to
you
be
for
an
that spoonful.
American Girl doll, a Samantha.
It could be Barbie size instead.
It could be Barbie size.
Polly Pocket, even.
Polly Pocket, even.
I love Polly.
I love Polly Pockets.
Ooh, Laura made some really cool Polly Pocket pins. Are they sold out?
Yes, they
Sorry,
are
you
currently.
can't have one.
But hopefully by the time this airs, they'll be back. But I did make a Polly Pocket, and she's in a little witch house. And
Do
it's a
all
pin.
witches love Polly Pockets? Do we have that in common?
That was my hands down. My favorite toy growing up was Polly Pocket.
I was
Hands
determined
down.
to enter my Polly Pocket collection in the LA County Fair.
I had so many,
Me too.
and now they're gone. Do you still have yours?
Yeah, you want to come over?
Yes, honestly,
I don't
would
have
play.
them all, but I have a lot.
I have one that I bought on fucking eBay.
I
had so
sit on
many.
eBay contemplating buying the ones that I don't have anymore all the time. Also, Mom, I love you, but you saved the wrong ones.
And Mom, I love you, but you fucking got rid of them. God, divorce. The trials of being a divorced child. Where did all my toys go? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Fuck that. American Girl dolls.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for tuning in to Third Eye Bind.
Be sure to leave us a message on the Third Eye line. Until
Which is
next
our
time,
Instagram DMs.
DM us, please.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, hello.
Hello?
Thank you so much for listening. You can follow the podcast at Third Eye Bind Pod on Instagram. There, submit your questions via the Third Eye line by sending us a voice message or text DM. The show is available wherever you listen to podcasts and for you to watch on YouTube. Get early access to episodes and even monthly one-on-one sessions with us by joining our Patreon. Find us at patreon.com/thirdeyebind. Third Eye Bind is produced and edited by Mike Realm. Hosted by Caitlin Grania and Laura Wong. Music by Mike Realm. Set design by Laura Wong. You can find Laura on Instagram at Lady Moon Co. And you can find Caitlin on Instagram at Spirit Garden Tarot.